Good morning, everybody, or midday, I guess I should say. It's Sunday, and a few things going on today. Today is the last day that I'm open at the Little Brick Church, 802 North Haynes in Centerville. I'm open 1 to 4 today. And then because it is Sunday, I will be going live at 7 p.m. Central Time with my weekly Sunday sale. So you'll have to hop over for that. What we're going to do today is work on some gift wrapping ideas. So last year I did a bunch of ideas, and honestly last year probably the photo one that I did is my favorite. And those are all listed over on my blog at thejunkparlor.com. So this year I wanted to do completely different ideas, but I used the same concept when it comes to using just like this craft paper that I have a roll of, and it is pretty thin paper. So what I do is I normally do it 2 thicknesses, or if I have a longer section of paper, then I will just roll or wrap it, more than once. So that it's not see-through. So this package, I actually, when I was gluing this tree on, I noticed that I can still see some of the box underneath, but that is okay. It's not that big a deal. And then also I ended up using packing tape for most of my wrapping because of course I could not find any Scotch tape in the house. The only roll of Scotch tape I could find, the little part where you actually tear it off, was broken off by one of the kids. So I would have to cut it with the scissors, and it was just a pain. So I just used some bigger paper for this. So this first little tree that I have on here is just basically using the paper, and you can actually see the little tree that I made last night, using the paper from the project of the paper stack tree. And so I am one of those people that I might not be able to come up with an idea on my own, but as long as I can look at something for reference, then I can normally duplicate it. So basically, kind of like when I did the chalkboard sign, if I have something to look at, I can then copy that. So I know some people aren't like that, and you would need a stencil or need more, intensive effort than what I have to give. And my suggestion for that is to just use a pencil, lightly sketch or draw whatever you're going to do, and then you can go back over it with a marker. So to get this tree, I'll just grab this box, I guess. What I'm going to do is take my paper cutter that I used last time, and then I had some of the strips left, so I just am going to take, this one I've already cut off of, so I'm just going to take this bigger one and use it for my bottom. And so I just need to make sure and have angled edges for the tree. This angle is already cut, so on this side I'm just going to go at a more severe angle, and I'll kind of think about how big my box is based off of how much I want to cut on this piece. So that looks like a pretty good tree. And then if you notice that this piece right here is cut at an angle, so I'm going to cut a little bit off of this piece to give that top piece an angle. Okay, so it's not exactly the same as what this one looks like, but very similar. So that is our first piece on the tree, and I think you can kind of see it over there off the camera. And then next up we have this darker green, so that piece was a little bit thicker. So from my angle that I cut to do this one, I pretty much already have that going on here, really probably the straighter side. So I'm going to do a more severe angle, and I want these bottom points to be wider than my top points on the piece above it. So I want it to kind of come to here. And I'd say that's probably good. And the biggest thing is don't stress out about it, because if it doesn't turn out how you want it, then you can just cut more paper. And so then if we line this up here, you can see that this top angle This side is taller than this side, so we're going to do the same thing over on this new piece for the other tree. So now we have the next piece for the tree. Then we are going to take our lighter green piece, and basically you're going with a triangle here. This angle is probably pretty severe right there, and then we're just going to do kind of a less severe angle going from the top point, lining that up with my cutter. And this one might not be big enough. That is not going to be big enough. So how could we make that bigger? Try it again and see if I go at a different angle, if I can make it bigger. So we want it to be a little bit longer, actually just kind of off center. So we might have to do a couple of pieces on this one. So I'm going to go back, and because this is a bigger box and so I did bigger chunks, we're going to go back to our bottom color and make a triangle out of that piece. Probably should see how big I need it, where I need it to go. And I don't want it to be so perfect, so cut it off a little bit. Okay, so here was the first one that I did, so we'll move that out of the way, and then we don't need our cutter anymore for any of the other projects. So I'm going to slide that out of the way. And so here's what we've got then with the tree. So I did one extra layer just because I did some bigger pieces. And so now we would go and we would glue this on, and then we need something for the stem. I'm just seeing if I have any little pieces cut. I think this one's going to be too thin, okay? But you could do that one. And actually, I'm probably going to leave it long so I can glue it, and then I can come back and cut it. So I will glue this on my own, but there is a nice, neat tree that you can use for a different kind of wrapping. So another idea is that when you have the paper just flat, then you're going to write, oh, Jeannie, yeah, Kellen's over there doing a project for Spanish. Just to write Merry Christmas. And I did not try very hard. I just did it kind of like my normal cursive handwriting. I tried to do my R's the same on all of them, tried to be consistent. And I just wrote it at an angle on the paper, which on the blog I'll share a picture of that. And then I just wrap the presents like I normally would. So whatever ends up showing up is what ends up showing up. So you could do this where you wrap them first and then you write Merry Christmas on it with a marker as well. So it's just kind of personal preference. And then to embellish it, you can take some of this, whatever you call it, this little glitter garland ribbon, and you can tie that on there. You could do something with the twine on there. I used a ton of twine last year, and I would recommend when you put it on, you wrap it around a few times and you leave it, every which way. You don't have it lined up perfectly across. You want to have closer together spots and farther apart spots. I had, from doing those other projects for the 25 days of Christmas, I had a little chunk of this garland left, or I think it's, what is it? It is like the stuff that you garland, but it's like the stuff you hang on your door. You can do it year round is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just gonna kind of tie it, and then I did get my hot glue gun hot so I can tack that on right there. And kind of help it from slipping around and untying. And then this stuff can just hang every which way. And it's nice because I don't know about you guys, but for Christmas, we normally are traveling and taking our packages places. So it's nice to have something that lays flat so you can stack it, but still looks pretty. So different things that you could cover your package with garland. Okay, then next up, we're going to do some trees. And these trees all look different because, well, one, they look different because they are different, but also because I had a ton of markers out in the workroom. Most of these are like paint pens or some kind of like scrapbooking markers and just different chalk pens, different things that I had, and I'm telling you, they were all dry. Sorry, husband called. We're just gonna use black marker and do the trees. So again, I'm just going to look at the tree, kind of copy it where you have a triangle at the top, and then you don't do like the peak of the triangle on the rest of it. So just again, I'm just going to do my best to center it. I'm not too concerned with how good of artist I am. I am just doing a tree, okay? So on the example, it did 4 triangles. I think 4 is a little bit too many. So I'm just going to do 3. Okay, and voila, we have beautiful artwork for a present. Okay, so then we're gonna do a different tree. This tree is more like Grinch style in my opinion. And so it's almost like a snow cap. So we're going to, again, just doing kind of like a pyramid, but with some zigzags. And really, you can't go wrong. You're just making each one go under the overhang of the one on top of it. Okay, then we're gonna come back in here and I'm gonna kind of curve my tree trunk because I felt like I was making my tree off to the side. And then, you know, I had those stickers from doing the paper stack tree last night. So you could add a sticker star. And again, you could do these in any color. And voila, you have a tree, a different style of tree. And I've also seen these trees painted on boards and they look really cute as well. So this one at first I used a gray marker and then it was very see-through, so then I went through it in silver. So probably looks different depending on how the light is hitting it. But basically you're just doing, I'm gonna try and use the fat part of the marker if I can. Doing your tree, and then you're just coming in here and so at first I started with my marker hitting next to the trunk, and this time I'm going to go back in, and the whole point is to not be perfect. And then you have a different style of tree. Now I have seen these trees all done on boards as well with a little scene, and then on the top of the board, and we might do it as one of our projects, they just took this twine and wrapped it around because it was longer, there was an empty space, and kind of embellished it that way. So doing trees would be another easy option for you. And then I'm not going to do one, but I just handed this ornament. You're basically just doing a circle and then you're filling it in with different designs. So an ornament is an option. And then the other one that I'll do for you is just kind of like a wreath and putting the word joy in it. And you can basically just draw whatever you want on them. One year, when the kids were little, what we did was I wrapped all the presents in the craft paper, and then we just got out the crayons and the kids decorated the packages however they wanted. And so they were little, that half of it was scribbles, but they had fun doing it, and it looked good because it's kind of like a theme. Everything was the same. So we're just gonna write joy here. And then what I did was I'm going to just do a circle, and I'm leaving it open at the end. Okay, and then on the one example, they had done a bow down here to kind of let your leaves, your leaves this way need to go to the other direction, and then on this side they want to go to the other direction. And when you get down here, they're kind of meeting at opposite ends, and so a bow was kind of the divider for the different directions. But don't overthink it. You're just making some loops. You can think of it like when you're drawing leaves on a flower. You can go bigger, smaller, fatter, skinnier. I kind of put them in a grouping together, 2 at a time, but you don't have to. You can do one a little bit higher, one a little bit lower if you want. There's really not a wrong or a right way to do it, because when you look at it from afar, it's going to look a lot better probably than when you look at it up close. I just decided at the last second to do that bow. And then we can kind of come in here and add some other little lines just to make it seem fuller. Kind of where you have some natural gaps between your leaves. And voila, we have a couple, and I know it's backwards because of my camera, but when I put it on YouTube, then I'll flip it. So there you have joy. So you can do that for pretty much anything. Yeah, Jeannie, you read my mind. So if you watched my chalkboard one, Jeannie and I were talking about this at the shop, and so I did fix it for YouTube so it looks normal on there, but I legit did not occur to me that when I did the chalkboard that it was going to be backwards. Like, I held the phone so you knew what I was doing, and I knew that was backwards, but in my mind it just never occurred to me. So Matt and I were laughing and crying because it was hilarious after the fact. So anyway, all right, well, have a good Sunday. Hope I can see you at the shop if you live close. The snow is back down to I think only maybe like an inch, so that is awesome. And I'll see you at Sunday or tonight at 7 p.m. if you are going to be around for the Sunday Live. So thanks, guys. Have a good day.